All right, you guys, welcome. Happy Friday afternoon. We hope you guys are having a great day, and I'm hoping you're going to listen to Carlos Guadamuz's amazing journey over the last, honestly, 3.5 months, right? It wasn't even a full 4 months that we've known each other.
Yeah.
To his amazing first time Ironman Florida in 12 hours and 10 minutes. Woo! Okay, so I know everybody who's watching is gonna want to know how you did it. So first of all, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, about your family, what you do for a living, and just a little bit of background about you.
Yeah, I moved to Miami not long ago. I lived in the UK for 11 years. Before that in England. I met my wife there and we had the kids there. And so we moved here in 2017. And so yeah, it's been like, well, no, 2015 actually.
Okay.
So it's been 7 years here in Miami. And yeah, I work in technology, always worked in technology. I used to work for Nokia doing mobile phones, and now I do software, right? So,
Okay. Awesome.
and yes. Yeah.
And you have kids?
I have two kids. I have one that is now 10 and the other one that is 8.
So
yeah.
would you say you have a very full life outside of triathlon?
Super full. Yeah. Work and family, it's quite demanding. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about how you came to do triathlon. What was your very first triathlon?
My first triathlon was not even a year ago. It was Miami Man, right?
Okay,
So
cool. Yeah, we're on the anniversary. That's coming Sunday. Okay, so your very first triathlon was Miami Man. And what inspired you to get involved with triathlon?
well, really, to be honest with you, I've always been a swimmer. So I've since little, I've been swimming. Probably started at the age of 6. I think my first open water competition, I was maybe 10. So yes.
That's awesome.
And I always loved the sport of swimming. And in England, it was very difficult because of the weather. I had a really long commute, and life is more complicated there. Here in Miami, I started swimming because I moved into a place that had a semi-Olympic pool downstairs. Nice. Literally, it was just like 3 minutes.
Right.
And I wanted to push myself. And how do I push myself? I put my name down on an open water swimming competition. And I said, "Oh, I'm in trouble." This was the Swim Miami series.
Yeah.
The swim series. And then I started swimming on my own. I finished quite a few of those. And then COVID came, right? By then I was moved into my house. I still have a really nice pool not far from here. Okay, but good. When COVID came, everything closed.
Yeah.
Right. So I started running because I said, and I had a good stamina because of the swimming. And then my wife bought a Peloton bike, right? And for also be able to exercise at home. So, so I was running and cycling. And then I thought, when the pools are opening again, I might just go for it. A friend of mine did the 72.3 in Florida, right? The one that is halfway, it's in Haines. It was April.
Haines City, last December?
No, he did it in April.
Oh, in April. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because they had 2 at that time. I don't know why
they had 2. They had 2. That's right. Okay, cool.
And I thought, if this guy can do it, I can do it, right? And so he was kind of like my inspiration, right? And so I put my name down because that's the way I do it, right? But I think the experience I wrote down in my, my let's say my
post-race recap.
What happened, right? and I compared everything to that race. It was not a bad race. I think I finished it in 6 hours and 6 minutes.
Well, wait,
but
we gotta start with Miami Man. So Miami Man was your very first triathlon, and what distance did you do? This was last year in 2021, right?
Olympic, yeah.
Okay, and so
And
how did that go?
I did it because of the 70.3.
Right, so you signed up for the 70.3 in Haines City, but you decided to do at least one triathlon before. So when you crossed the finish line at Miami Man, how did you feel?
I felt good. That one in particular, I felt good, especially the swimming. My surprise is that in the swimming competitions, I was always not with, top half, but never ahead of the pack because they are all of them 100% swimmers. My surprise in triathlons is that not all of them are swimmers. So I started to go at my pace. I ended up beating everybody in the swim. I mean, all the caps. I was
in front of
younger age, and I was passing everybody. So that was my first surprise. But it was also to get familiar with the transitions and everything, right?
Smart.
But
very smart.
Again, this is what everybody said. Don't go to the half Ironman without practicing at least one competition. And
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But all this without coaching, right? I was all with a book, the 80-20, and so I put my own plan down and everything. So I went to the half Ironman quite confident, right? That I was.
This is Haines City, and there was a month later in December, but last year, 2021. Okay, so how did you do at Haines City?
It was, how can I put it? There were positives and negatives, or not negatives. It's the fact that I didn't have a bad time. I mean, I did it in 6 hours and 6 minutes, so it was okay. Yeah. But deep down inside me, I thought that I wasn't at my full potential, right? When I finished the bike, I started to run and my legs were weak, right? And I was in pain. Yeah. So the whole run, I did it in pain. And the thing about that was that I had to walk quite a bit also. So I finished my half Ironman, and instead of having this, feeling of accomplishment, right? It was kind of like, yeah, but not sure. So there were a lot of what ifs right in my head.
Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings. Yeah.
Mixed feelings completely. And I started to think about it, days and days thinking about it. And I thought, the best way, to go about this is just to go for the full thing, for the Ironman. And I thought, but this time I will need help, right? Because I will not probably, I think I wasn't, as I said, at my full potential. And there were a lot of things that I didn't know about, right? So.
Okay, cool. So then I still didn't meet you until 2022 in July. So what did you do between December 2021 and 2022 of July before you reached out to me?
So I had in my head, in my mind, that I was going to do it, the full Ironman. I kept it a little bit quiet with the family and everybody, but it was in my head. So the whole year, I never stopped running or cycling, riding, or swimming. I actually bought my first triathlon bike ever only in May this year. Right. And that was in my head, also committing to the fact that I was going to do it. Right. I wanted to, start training early on, but, with kids and everything, the summer was complicated. I went to Spain actually for a few weeks, and then we had another weekend in Mexico. Yeah. So by the time I called you, we didn't have a lot of time, but we didn't, because it was in my head. It wasn't that I started from zero. I think by the time I called you,
Yeah.
My training, I was already doing, my long rides were 50 miles long. I was running 8 miles, the longest, and the swimming was always okay, right? I
Because
could
you
swim.
have a background of a swimmer. Yeah. So I don't even remember, but how did you find me? How did you find Full Circle Coaching?
In Miami, man.
Oh,
And
okay, good.
yes,
Yay. I'll be there again
so,
tomorrow.
and Miami Man was my first, right? And so, like any rookie, you go and absorb everything and all the instructions to the website, and they say there's a clinic the day before. And so I drove there just for the clinic, right? And that was where you were there giving the clinic.
Yeah.
And I took everything in. You were explaining things that I wasn't necessarily sure about, but they were quite new to me.
Yeah.
And I think also what caught my attention is that you came back the next day with your team, right? And I felt kind of like a little bit of envy that there was this group of people all together. You can see the good camaraderie between them and you with them. So that definitely caught my attention, right? Everybody wearing the same colors.
I love that.
Yeah. So
awesome. Okay.
stayed in my head, right?
Yeah. So I appreciate that because I never actually realized that. Okay. So you called me and I said, wow, we have 3.5 months. I said, I don't know you. Based on what you told me, I said, we can do this. We can definitely get you across the finish line. But honestly, I had no idea how fast you could go because I'd never assessed you, right? So we committed to each other. I said, let's do that. And we started with all of your assessments, right? So we put together the plan, the assessments. We were able to do the assessments in person, which is very helpful. And even, I do them virtually as well. But if we're close by, you live close enough to me, you live in North Miami. So we were able to do the assessments in person. But honestly, we did not see a lot of each other after that. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We were, quite far apart in the fact that I have the family and involvement with the kids. I had to have my own hours in a way, right? So,
and that just, it speaks to your dedication because I gave you the tools. Like we did the assessments, we figured out what your limiters were. There were some form issues on the swim, but a very good swimmer overall. There were some form issues on the run for sure. Your bike fit. Oh my God, Coach Dennis saved you on the bike fit. I mean, that thing was so far off of how it should have fit you. And once we did all of those things, and you did come and ride with us one time, we had a little bike accident, which was a little scary. We got your skill level up on the bike and had you doing those drills. But honestly, from that 3.5 months portion to race day, you did the work. I would say for me as your coach, I expect 80%. Like I expect my athletes to put in 80%, not 100% of what I'm recommending because life happens, right? And I would say you put in 95%. I think there was less than 5% that you were not able to hit. Wouldn't you say that's true?
I agree. And I have to say that 9% were probably the short exercises.
Yes.
The long runs, the long rides, and the long swims, I did them all, right? I never missed any of those.
Never missed.
Yeah.
And those were on your own. Like you dedicated that time. You made it happen despite your family's, your kids' soccer games and all that stuff. You made it happen. Every week you carved out the time, you spoke to your wife, you negotiated with her to get the quality training in, right? And I was just so impressed. And it wasn't a straight line, right? We did have some setbacks. You had 2 injuries, not injuries, but things that were concerning, right? And so you reached out to me. Let's talk about those 2 things because that was key, right?
Yeah. The first thing was that actually worried a little bit, was the IT ban because it was not the first time that I felt it. I felt it in the past, but actually on long competitions, right? I had 2 injuries in the past that I never felt anything in this preparation, which was rotator cuff and shin splint. So those never surfaced during the training, but the one that did was the IT band. And what was interesting to me was, I don't know what to do with this, because the IT band is not necessarily a muscle. It's just so what can I do? And when you said, this is probably because your glutes are weak, right? Or you need to strengthen them more. So you gave me a few exercises. I did them religiously, with weights and so after a few weeks, the pain was gone, right? It was just putting the strength together with some stretches as well. So it was a combination of the two, right? Stretches and strength. And the thing go away, because I think the complicated thing is how to, address those pains without stopping with the training. Because I still had in my calendar.
Before they get too bad, like not ignore them, give them the attention they need. I have been doing this for 25 years. I know exactly how to prevent an IT band injury from getting worse. And then the other thing was your Achilles that started to flare up a little bit too, right? With the added running.
It was the same thing. I think that the Achilles came with when I started to do the long runs. The really long ones, like the 18 miles plus. And so we put together again a series of exercises focusing on exactly my lower leg. Again, I did all the stuff and it went away. This took a little bit more, but I felt that the pain was in decline. So that's what, even though the IT band went away quicker, but this one didn't go away that quick, but I was feeling the improvement.
Better.
Exactly. But at the end, in the race, none of that, surfaced. I didn't feel any Achilles heel pain or IT band pain. I have to be honest with you, I didn't have any muscular pain during the whole race. Right?
I know. And it's because you did the work, okay?
Yes.
So my program, my triathlon transformation program, you proved to me and to everybody who wants to ever join me, this program works. If you do it, if you are committed to the results, you can get them. So let's talk about race day, because I use my TriCalc 3 to help my athletes predict their race time. And we had a couple, right? Because you were nervous. You sent me one that was like 13 hours. And I'm like, Carlos, I need you to be realistic, because I knew you could do better than 13, right? So, and then you sent me another one that was, I think, like 12. And you're like, I'm scared about putting this. What were the ones? Do you remember?
I think I sent three. One that was very conservative. And that was like almost 13.
Yeah.
One that was super, optimistic, and then one in the middle.
Right.
And what we did was at the end working the most likely based on a combination of those. Right. And then we ended up with the most likely being that I was going to do 12 hours and 25 minutes. That was the last.
So the best case scenario after we did all your testing, so we did your testing initially and we had your zones and you trained your zones, but we retested and you got faster. You got faster on the swim, you got faster on the bike, and you got faster on the run. So we had new zones, right? So when you have the new zones, we updated the TriCalc 3, which is your race prediction time. And it was 12:25. And we agreed that was like the best case scenario. That's going to be your sweet spot, right? So let's talk about the race. So what happened on race day? Because it was really pretty good conditions compared to last year, but it wasn't like without its challenges. Would you say that's true?
Yes. So as you suggested, 2 days in advance. So the day before, complete rest, but 2 days in advance, I went for a swim. And normally the swimming competitions in the open water, you swim parallel. This is different because you swim away from the coast, right? You go into the deep ocean, kind of. You're following a pier, And so I did it. I remember on a Thursday,
Yeah,
and the whole thing was super flat. It was like a pool, right? So I go easily went and actually went towards the sea, super easy. And then I thought this is too easy. And then when I came back, it was a little bit harder. And I said, oh, I know it's because then the current is going that way.
right.
Right. So, but that's it. Then race day, I go there, put everything, all my equipments, everything in, and you start to swim, right?
And it was windy, right? The wind had picked
It
up.
was windy. The wind was coming from the ocean towards the beach, right? And the water was choppy, right?
Big wave. Yeah, big
And
waves.
what is different was that you normally get choppy, water near the coast, but it was choppy all the way to the last buoy, all the way to the last one, to the point that I never get chafing, but I did it here my neck because with the wetsuit, because of doing this so much, because when you have a lot of waves, you lose the buoys.
Yeah.
So you need to do an extra effort to see the buoy and to see everybody else, right?
Yeah.
My wife told me that there were a lot of people that went different directions, right? I kept a kind of like a straight line, so it was good. And so that was the first challenge. The swim was not as expected, but yeah.
Expected. So when you it was 2 loops, did you check your time on the first loop?
No, I didn't. I couldn't.
Just went for
I was
focused.
And so did the first loop, went in and came back. And this is my first Ironman, right? So there were a lot of things that were new to me, right? The transitions with the bags and all that.
It was very complicated.
Exactly. So came back, had the shower, never had that before. So I tried to take all the salt water out and then go and change for the bike.
So you did the second loop of the swim and you came out, and did you look at your watch then?
Yes. So
happy?
Yes, I was happy. I was on time.
What was your time?
I think my time, let me check. I did it in...
It was 1:12, I thought, right?
Yes, 1:12, 1:14.
Oh, 1:14. Okay, perfect.
And I was supposed to do it in 1:17, so it was
a little bit shorter than what we thought. Awesome. So yeah, you're already ahead of schedule. Okay, so you get to the bike, and then your bike, I would say you hit, my minimums are 5 times 100 miles, and you hit all those workouts. But you never know what you're going to get on race day regarding wind, right? And also how you adapt to all the nutrition for that whole time, right? So tell us how the bike went.
So before that, just one little comment that was also unexpected for me is that this transition area is very long, right? And it's huge. You have from the beach to the where the bike is a long distance, and then there is a lot of walking in the bike shoes. Click, 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 that word. But yeah, I get on the bike, and to me, my mentality is the bike is where I was going to be the most, let's say, disciplined, because you have your computer, you have all the numbers in front of you. Right. And we had already talked about that I was going to be in zone 2. It was a new zone 2 because I was stronger at the end, right, when we recalibrated the zones. Right. But also it was for me to focus on nutrition as well.
And power, right? Let's talk about that. So before you worked with me, did you ever use power?
I was just based on water and gels, right? So the whole nutrition for me was probably the big eye opener, right, of this training, to the point that when I sent my race plan to you, I had to the hour the amount of calories I was going to have, the amount of carbohydrates and electrolytes in general, right? Magnesium and this and the other. And so I knew I had 4 bottles right, with the mix Vitargo and base together, and that were plus the gels that I was going to have. Some of them were with caffeine, which were supposed to be towards the end of the bike. Perfect. And then a couple of Stinger, cookies.
Yeah.
All that gave me the around 370 calories or 380 calories per hour.
Perfect.
And I kept it, very disciplined. The other good thing is that I started with 4 bottles. So 1 in my aero bottle, 1 in between my legs, and 2 in the back.
Perfect.
And so for the first time during the training, I started to use the aero bottle that is with the straw.
After watching Kona, right?
After watching Kona. So
I love it.
Kona was also was the name of the American that won the one that
Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea taught me a lot, to be honest with you.
I love it.
And so I trained to not do this anymore, right? Everything was with the straw. When this bottle was over, took 1, put it in the tank, empty it, and then drink like this. I had 1 bottle that was supposed to be the spare in between my legs. I just went and bought it for like $5. That one, when I get to an aid station, I threw it away, so that when they gave me, for example, Gatorade or something like that, I was going to use it, right? Because I needed to make a combination also with the 4 bottles of Vitargo plus another one without it, right? So the whole bike went well, keeping on my power zones. I was hitting 21, 22 miles per hour constantly. And I thought, I'm scared I'm going to, cross. And suddenly you get to mile 70 when is that you turn towards the town.
All headwinds.
Said at the beginning, the wind was coming from the ocean. So from mile 70 to the end, we had wind full frontal, right, in our face.
Yeah.
In our faces. So I was like going from same at zone 2, going from 21, 22 miles per hour to 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And there is this little voice that, starts telling you should be quicker. Go for it. Right? You're going too slow.
And were people passing you?
Yes, a lot of people.
And so
there was another one saying,
what did you hear in your head from me?
Stay in your zone. Yes, stay in your zone, because the race isn't over. You still need to do a marathon, right? Exactly. And so I kept on my zone, and actually towards the end, I even, I was typically middle to top of zone 2. Towards the end, I wanted to stay on the lower end of zone 2, so that I was getting prepared for the running, and doing stretches and all that on my bike. And it got my attention that a lot of people in the last, few miles, they were going full on, like this was the end of the race. And I was, a lot of people passing me like this, and I'm like, guys, we have a marathon still. Yes.
Right.
But yeah, that was then I finished the bike transition.
And what was your time on the bike? What was the time on the bike?
The bike, I did it in 5 hours, 58 minutes. Perfect. So
right on time.
The expectations there were, more or less 6 hours. And so I changed, and this is what I said to you, coming from my half Ironman experience in Haines, that I got off the bike, started running, and my legs were weak and in pain. In this time around, I get off the bike, I start running, and this thought came to my head like a realization. I thought, I'm going to be an Ironman today, because my legs were super strong.
I
but
just
it
got
was this,
I mean,
yes,
yeah, to know that at mile 2 of a marathon, to know with 100% confidence that you're gonna become the Ironman that you've always dreamed of, isn't that an awesome feeling?
it's an amazing feeling. Yeah, it gives you this level of confidence.
But I did
Uh,
warn you about staying within, right? Even though you're excited, right? To hold back, hold back. So
yes.
how did you do that for the next 24 miles?
So I had this plan as well. We put it together that I was going to my goal was to do it in 4 hours and 30 minutes, which is what I did. And in order to do that, I needed to have an average pace of eight, sorry, 10 minutes and 30
Yeah.
per mile, right? So, but I wasn't going to do 10:30 the whole race. I was going to start with 11
Yes.
and then the main section
latest
10:30 and finish strong with 10,
Right.
because this is the other new thing that we train and was in my head was, negative splits, right? That I was doing the opposite before this training, that I started strong and finished weak, right? And it's not a great feeling. And so I was very disciplined with the slow pace, and people passing me, right? And I was like, okay, you remember people because of how they are dressed and their names and all that. And my wife was, the good thing is that we were in a hotel there in the street,
Yeah.
and I saw her 4 times, and
Nice.
she was like, oh my God, you look so fresh, as fresh as a lettuce, she said. So
Fresh
go
as
for it.
lettuce. I love it.
Yes. And so I started going, and then, okay, first 6 miles, 11 minutes. And then second, the big portion, which is 12 miles at 10:30, I was able to, accelerate quite easily and then keep it, right? I have to say, I had an incident, right?
Yeah,
With
you took like 3 to 5 minutes, right? And you were at an aid station, right? Tell everybody what happened. You had a blister or something, right?
So I had a little bit of a pain, but not muscular, under my foot, right here, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, and it started to cloud my head, to fill me with negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And I thought, I need to be positive, all day. So I cannot have these negative thoughts in my head. I need to address this straight away. I don't know if what I did was the right thing to do or not, but I went to an aid station and I said, do you have band-aids? And they said yes. And so someone started to go somewhere and then came back with the band-aids. Then they were in a first aid kit.
Right.
The kit was all wrapped, but not
Oh.
only wrapped, but these plastic bands, right?
Yeah.
That you tighten them and they couldn't open it.
Oh
Do
my
we
God.
have a scissor? No, we don't have scissors. Where are the scissors? I don't know. But I have a knife. Someone came with a knife, and then they started to do like this. They opened it. The whole thing, went like this.
Right.
They started to find which one is the right one. And so it felt like an eternity. And
Right. You were like, oh my God, it's taking so long.
they put one here like this.
Mhm.
And I was about to put my sock on. I said, put another one like this. Just make a cross and repeat it. And so I put on my socks, my shoes, and started running. And the pain went away. I don't know what happened, but the pain went away, right? And so that black cloud disappeared.
Nice.
And so I started running. I have to say, it didn't necessarily work in the end, because the all with the sweat and the water, it moved to the front.
Right.
But I didn't have that thought again. I ended up with a massive blister, right, in the end, but somehow psychologically it helped, right?
Yeah. You had moved past it psychologically and you were just going. You weren't going to let it stop you.
exactly. And so I started to go at 10:30, and then when I was 6 miles to go, okay, this is time for me to accelerate. I'm not sure if I can do it. I'm strong, but let's see. So I went to 10 miles per
10 miles, yeah.
10 minutes per mile.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 start running. And I kept feeling strong and strong and strong. As that, when it was, I think, 3 miles to go, I thought I'm still strong. I'm gonna put everything in it. And I started running. I think I finished at a pace of, I looked at my watch, it said 8 minutes something, right?
Amazing.
So I was really running, that people around me were scared, right? Because that's the moment where everybody's walking in. What is this guy doing?
Printing.
Running
Yes.
full on sprint.
Yeah.
To the point that I was very religious with the aid stations. Another learning from Chelsea, and that she stopped at she was so religious about that.
Right. Despite how fast she was going, she never let that go. Right. So that's really important. Yeah, that's really, really.
I had my pills that I was taking with the salt pills, my gels.
And did you do perfect aminos too?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
I didn't.
Just the salt. Okay, just the salt.
I felt it was going to be probably, too much. One pill, the other pill, and they looked so much the same. So I don't want any confusion. And but the last 3 miles, I was so focused and I felt so strong that I never stopped at an aid station anymore.
Oh, you skipped
so
them.
I went just for
cool.
I skipped them. Yeah. And that's the moment when you start passing everybody. And all the people that pass you at the beginning, you're passing, right?
Right.
And there are a lot of them walking, actually. And so yes, it was an amazing feeling to finish strong, right? That's exactly what I wanted.
I know, and the video that your wife took, I appreciate her cheering so much, or the sound of her voice in the video that I received. I mean, she was so proud of you, and the look on your face was everything, right? You were like so excited. So congratulations. I could not be more proud of you. And I also just want to thank you for proving to me that what I've put together can work for anybody in any kind of situation with as little as 3.5 months. And so I really appreciate your dedication and trust, because you did trust me. We did not know each other, right, at all. And I just want to thank you for trusting me and trusting the process. And I just am so proud of you. And I'm so proud of your accomplishment. And is there anything else that you would want to share with anybody? Just because I feel like you had so many kind words, and you're an inspiration. You are such an inspiration to all of the people in my group, but everywhere, right? Your family, right?
Yes. No, I think it's two things, right? I think one, you mentioned, why do I do this?
Right.
And the other one is, what I will say to someone that is on the fence, right?
Yeah.
First, why do I do it? As you said, it's my family, my kids. I put down an experience is that when I finished my half Ironman, my kid came to me a week later, 2 weeks after that, with a website, said, this triathlon competition, I want in, right?
Your kids did that?
Yeah, he was 9 at the time. And so we started training for like 2 months without zero pushing for me, right? Very little pushing from my side.
Yeah.
He focused a lot on the swimming, the running, and he came in a good position. He was 5th out of like 20 something kids.
That's
so
awesome.
And then this is exactly why you're doing it. You're leading by example, right? To your kids, to your family, to your friends, that without me going after him, let's do this, I'm going to put you in this triathlon thing because I'm doing it. No, it came naturally. He wanted it.
He wanted to be like his dad. That's so cool. I love it.
And the other thing was about people being on the fence. I think we talked about this, is how many things I learned during this process, right? The big difference of doing this without and with a coach. So we have 2 races to compare, and two performances. at the end, my Ironman performance was better than my half Ironman performance. I think we talked at the beginning about, can you do it? Yes. And if I do it, well, it will be your half Ironman multiplied by 2 plus 1 hour. That's the rule of thumb.
Right.
That would have been, 13 hours and 12 minutes.
And what was your time?
I did it.
What did you get? We never told everybody. What was your final time?
12 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah.
Woohoo! Did you guys hear that? 12 hours and 10 minutes. Like so amazing. Like so amazing.
And I think apart from the learning, the coaching, which was amazing from your end, I think what I congratulate you as well is that you've been able to put together like a community of people, right? And I think that is the extra thing that comes with the package, right? How you are in this chat group with people that do the same thing that you do, have the same passion, but they're always encouraging each other, having tips, having, like for example, with the bags. Yes. I was a bit confused with, the red bag, the blue bag, the Ironman is. And so I talked to someone I first asked the question to the whole group, and a couple of people came back, and then one person from the group,
Christine.
Christine.
Yeah,
I said,
saw her.
Can we talk?
Carlos called me, we talked. Yeah, I mean, my tribe attracts like, Carlos, right? So yes. You were attracted to me, and all the people that are in my community, we're a family, right? We're a tribe. So I can say that our tribe is the best because we really, really care about each other, and we care about inspiring and supporting each other in every way possible, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that was, again, something just weeks before the race, a couple of days, that was
weighing on you. Right.
And just having that talk, that completely went away, disappeared. Right. Now you're thinking positive and about other things, and then, everything is ready. But yeah, I think, as you said, it's all about the training, putting the hours. If you follow the training, I think you are, 80% there, right? It's
yeah. And you also mentioned how your legs, like you didn't have the fatigue in your legs when you came off the bike this time for the full compared to the half. And then also, how was your recovery? It's been a week, right? So a little bit over a week, but how's your recovery been?
I've been also quite disciplined about it. So try to rest, do stretches, but I haven't run. I haven't gone on the bike. I haven't done it so far. So it's good. A lot of messages on Instagram, Facebook, when I posted, my finish line, experience and all that. So yeah, you enjoy all the positive messages, right? And yeah, it's painful, I have to say. It's chafing here, chafing there, blisters here.
There's little things, yeah, definitely.
It's part of the whole experience, I think.
Right. Well, I want to congratulate you once again, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I hope this is just the beginning.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you very much again for all your coaching.
You're welcome. Welcome to the family. All right. Bye, Carlos. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.